Hello students, welcome to chemistry online classes. Chemical kinetics lesson is going on. Today's is chemical kinetics lecture number 11. In today's lecture we are going to see effect of catalyst on rate of reaction. How catalyst affect rate of reaction? Maximum of you will be knowing the effect. Of course catalyst increases rate of reaction. That's why we add catalyst in a chemical reaction. Now in this topic we are going to see how exactly catalyst increases rate of reaction. We know that it increases, but how exactly, what happens that catalyst increases rate of reaction. So let us see first what is a catalyst. So catalyst is a substance which we add in a chemical reaction which increases rate of reaction without itself undergoing any permanent chemical change. Means when we are adding a catalyst in a chemical reaction, that catalyst do not undergo any permanent chemical change. So catalyst before the reaction, how we have added catalyst, after the completion of reaction also catalyst will remain same. Okay, so it do not undergo any permanent chemical change. Okay. About catalysts, you should be knowing that catalysts are highly specific. So many enzymes are acting as catalyst in biochemical reactions. And catalyst required in a chemical reaction is in a very small quantity. Small amount of catalyst is having such a high efficiency that it converts millions of reactants into products. Okay. So catalyst quantity required is less, but it is highly efficient. It converts lots of millions of reactants into products. So let us see this catalyst in detail. Already in first PUC you have seen how a catalyst works in equilibrium lesson. So imagine that a reaction is taking place and that reaction is attaining equilibrium after 70% completion of the reaction. Then if we will add a catalyst in this chemical reaction, then this equilibrium state remains there only. Due to addition of catalyst, equilibrium will not be attained after 30% or 40%. Equilibrium state will remain there only, but a catalyst will help to reach to this equilibrium state faster. Rate of reaction becomes fast. So catalyst never changes the equilibrium constant, but it helps to reach to that equilibrium state faster by increasing rate of reaction. Catalyst always increases rate of forward reaction as well as rate of backward reaction equally. If it is increasing rate of forward reaction, equally it will increase the rate of backward reaction. So like this a catalyst work. Now here we are going to see how exactly it increases rate of reaction. This can be explained. See a student, if reactants are there, reactants will give rise to some intermediate, or to this intermediate we may call as activated complex or intermediate complex. Reactants will get converted into intermediate complex. This complex decomposes to give products. This complex decomposes to give the products. Catalyst is added here. Now what this catalyst do? Many students will have doubt, do catalysts take part in the reaction or not? Because catalysts do not undergo any permanent chemical change. Then is it taking part in the reaction or it is not? Then students always remember that catalysts do take part in the reaction, but temporarily, and it do not undergo any permanent chemical change, meaning here you have to take that it is not undergoing permanent change, but it is undergoing temporary change. So in the definition of catalyst, you must write it is a substance which increases rate of reaction without undergoing any permanent chemical change. Writing without undergoing any permanent chemical change is very important because catalyst undergoes temporary change. But after completion of reaction, again it will be recovered in its original state. Okay. So let us understand how a catalyst works. Whenever reactants are getting converted into products, in between this intermediate state is formed. Already you know that this intermediate state is very unstable. It is unstable. It exists for very less time. And afterwards this complex decomposes to give the products. Now this catalyst reacts temporarily with the reactants. Okay. Catalyst forms temporarily, it forms bonds with the reactants. And then it helps these reactants to form this intermediate. This is role of catalyst. Catalyst helps reactants to get converted into intermediate, or it helps to formation of intermediate, and then these intermediate will get converted into products. Okay. So catalyst temporarily take part in the reaction. Catalyst temporarily forms bond with reactant, reactant form this intermediate, intermediate remains for less time, afterwards it will decompose to give the products. But when this intermediate is decomposing to give the products, at the same time, after decomposition of intermediate along with products, catalyst is recovered. So here along with products again catalyst is recovered. So catalyst before the reaction and after the reaction will be there in its original state. Okay. So catalysts do take part in the reaction, but afterwards again it is recovered along with the products. Then effect of catalyst we are going to study in D block in detail. There one example we are going to study. In that example you will understand that ferric means students Fe3+. Fe3+ act as catalyst in reaction of iodide with persulfate. In that reaction ferric is added as catalyst. See temporary changes how. Ferric is acting as a catalyst. Okay. Means whenever we are adding catalyst in that reaction, catalyst is in the form of Fe3+, ferric ions. But while formation of intermediate, that ferric ions gets converted into ferrous. Okay, temporary change. Catalyst added is ferric, ferric gets converted into ferrous. Afterwards, this ferrous again, while decomposition and while getting products, this ferrous gets again converted back into ferric. So whatever catalyst added, that is also ferric. After completion of reaction, catalyst is produced, that is also ferric. So catalyst may undergo temporary change, but catalyst never or itself undergo without undergoing permanent chemical change. Permanent, no change will be there. Temporarily it may change its oxidation state. Okay. And that's why in the definition of catalyst the words are it do not undergo any permanent chemical change. So this is all about how a catalyst works. Now in this reaction we have to relate catalyst with rate of reaction. In Arrhenius equation I have told you that activation energy and rate of reaction are inversely proportional. Now how exactly a catalyst works, that we will see by putting a graph. So here students, I am plotting a graph for potential energy versus reaction coordinates. Now see to this graph. We'll plot first a graph of a reaction in which catalyst is not added. Okay. Okay. So this is, I am writing that this is pathway without catalyst. Catalyst is not used. Now for this pathway I want to write, these are reactants, these are products. This is peak, means it is intermediate, complex is formed. How to write activation energy, this is taught to in previous video. So I want to write activation energy here. So activation energy you should mark always from reactant up to the peak of the graph. Peak of the graph means activated complex or intermediate. So from reactant up to the peak, that is activation energy. So see students, these are reactants, see properly. This is peak. So this is how I can show here activation energy required. Understood? So this is the graph indicating the pathway without use of a catalyst. Activation energy required is this much. Now I will plot a graph when the reaction is carried out by adding a catalyst. How exactly a catalyst works and how exactly it increases rate of reaction. It fastens, it speeds up the chemical reaction. So let us see. Now catalyst is added and pathway becomes somehow like this. By dotted line I have shown, the dotted line shows pathway using catalyst, when catalyst is used. Pathway using catalyst. Okay. Now in this new pathway, when catalyst is used, catalyst always provides a new pathway, or you can say that catalyst provides an alternate pathway. See this. This was original pathway, but when catalyst is added, it always provides a alternate pathway or new pathway. Now for this new pathway, I want to show activation energy. Let us see students. Activation energy means I must show from reactants up to the peak. So I will show here, this is activation energy. Okay. So what can you see students? Very easily you can see that when catalyst is used, activation energy required is quite less as compared to previous activation energy. You can compare both activation energies. And you know that activation energy is inversely proportional to rate of reaction. Activation energy decreases means rate of reaction increases. Okay, like this reaction becomes faster and faster. So this is how a catalyst increases rate of reaction. So question will be asked for 2 marks. Plot a graph and show how a catalyst increases rate of reaction. Your point should be this graph showing both activation energies, and your point should be first, a catalyst provides an alternate pathway for the reaction. And a catalyst provides an alternate pathway for the reaction. Secondly, you should write this new pathway has less activation in it. As you can see from the graph. Graph drawing is very important. This new pathway has less activation energy, and we have seen that activation energy is inversely proportional to rate of reaction. This we have seen in your previous lecture. Activation energy is inversely proportional to K. K is rate constant. Rate constant and rate of reaction same. So activation energy is inversely proportional to rate of reaction. Activation energy is less means rate of reaction is more. Therefore, reaction becomes or completes faster. Okay, this is how a catalyst increases rate of reaction. So question understood. Very important question. Plot a graph and show how a catalyst increases rate of reaction. Graph should be plotted like this. These 2 points, and like this rate of reaction is increased. Okay. Now students, we are moving towards collision theory. The last topic of this lesson. Collision theory, let us move. Yes students, let us start with collision theory. According to collision theory, reactants will collide on each other, their pre-existing bonds will break, new bonds will form, and then products will form. As reactants will collide on each other, this theory is called as collision theory. In short, without collision there is no reaction. This is collision theory. For reaction to take place, reactants must collide on each other. Once they will collide, their pre-existing bonds will break down, new bonds will form, and then products will form. And this theory is called as collision theory. So, in this collision theory, we have to relate collision theory with rate of reaction, speed of reaction, because our lesson is chemical kinetics, the branch of chemistry which deals with speed of reaction. How collision theory and rate of reaction can be related, that we are going to see. Now see students, reactants should collide and then only products are forming. So how many more collisions will be there, that many more products will be there. Is it? If collisions are only less bonds will break, less new bonds will form, less products will form, rate of reaction will be slow. So rate of reaction is directly proportional to how many more collisions are taking place. Okay. If collisions are more and more in number, then more and more bonds are breaking and more products are forming. This number of collisions taking place per second per unit volume of reaction mixture is called as collision frequency. Frequency you know very well. Collision frequency means what? How many collisions are taking place per second per unit volume. Unit volume means 1 liter. Number of collisions taking place per second per unit volume of reaction mixture is called as collision frequency. And how much more is collision frequency, that much rate of reaction will be higher. So the most important question which is asked on collision theory is definition of collision frequency. Rather, the only question which is asked for PU, okay, repeatedly asked for 1 mark. Generally, complete collision theory won't be asked, but in between points will be asked. So let us see all the definitions and concept of collision theory in detail. So first important definition is what is collision frequency. Collision frequency is indicated by symbol Z. So what is this collision frequency? Number of collisions taking place per second per unit volume of reaction mixture. That is called as collision frequency. Students, always remember that rate of reaction is directly proportional to, I will write Z. Okay, correct? Collision frequency and rate of reaction are directly proportional. So you understood collision frequency. Let us move towards details of collision theory. Reactants will collide on each other. Repeatedly reactants are colliding, bonds are breaking, products are forming. But students, remember that all collisions do not give rise to products. Reactants are colliding, but every collision do not give rise to product. The collisions which gives rise to products are called as effective collisions or fruitful collisions. Remember the word effective collisions. The collisions which gives rise to products, that collisions are called as effective collisions. If collisions are effective, then only products will form. Otherwise, that collisions will be wasted, which are not effective, that are called as wasted collisions. So what is criteria for effective collisions? When the collisions will be effective? So let us see conditions for effective collisions. I told you that all collisions don't give rise to product. Collisions must be effective, collisions must be fruitful. Then only products will form. Then first criteria is, whatever reactants are colliding on each other to give rise to products or to let the reaction take place, that reactants must possess a minimum amount of energy called as threshold energy. First thing, if the reactant possesses that threshold energy, then only their collisions will be effective collisions, fruitful collisions. First condition is, reacting molecules must possess a minimum amount of energy, then only their pre-existing bonds will break properly, products will form. And that type of energy is called as threshold energy. Okay, so this is first criteria. Reacting molecules must possess minimum certain energy called as threshold energy. Then that collision will be effective collision. Now students, reacting molecules must possess threshold energy, but how much energy actually they are having? The reacting molecules have energy in their ground state. That energy is called as normal energy. Now understand the concept again through collision theory point of view. Here again I am going to tell you what is activation energy and all. The energy which is present in the reacting molecules in their ground state or at STP, that energy is called as normal energy. That is normal energy which is already there in the reacting molecules. Imagine that this is normal energy. Reacting molecules already possess this energy by its nature in its ground state. But minimum amount of energy required for conversion of reactants into products, means for effective collision, is called as threshold energy. Means more amount of energy is required. This much is limit. Threshold energy is required for reactants to give rise to products. Sometimes some reactants already have their normal energy equal to threshold energy. It's good thing. But many times reacting molecules will have energy less than threshold energy. Okay. So normal energy is the energy possessed by reacting molecules in their ground state. But minimum energy required by the reacting molecules to get converted into products is called as threshold energy. Reacting molecules may have their normal energy equal to threshold energy or may not have. Now, if reacting molecules don't have normal energy equal to threshold energy, then what should be done? Then extra energy has to be supplied to the reacting molecules to make their normal energy equal to threshold energy. Okay. So when their normal energy becomes equal to threshold energy, then only collisions will be effective collisions, and effective collisions only gives rise to products. Okay. So to the reacting molecules, extra amount of energy has to be supplied to make their normal energy equal to threshold energy. That extra amount of energy is called as activation energy. Understood well? To make them active, so that they will become active, their energy will become equal to threshold energy and they will get converted into products. Reaction will take place. So here students, I told you three energies: normal energy, activation energy, threshold energy. So normal energy means what? The energy possessed by the reacting molecules in its ground state is called as normal energy. But minimum amount of energy required by the reacting molecules to get converted into products or to form effective collisions is called as threshold energy. Reacting molecules may have their normal energy equal to threshold energy, it's very good thing, or may not have. If they don't have their normal energy equal to threshold energy, then extra energy has to be supplied to them. And that extra energy which is applied to them to make their normal energy equal to threshold energy is called as activation energy. Okay? And that activation energy has to be supplied. Then how this activation energy is supplied? Students, you might have heard about photochemical reactions. In photochemical reactions, whenever that reactions are taking place, photons of light supply this activation energy. Okay? So otherwise, rise in temperature, heat is supplied. Through that heat, reactants will absorb extra amount of energy. That is to increase their normal energy up to threshold energy. That energy is called as activation energy. So activation energy can be supplied by two ways. Generally by heating, that is by rise in temperature. Otherwise, in case of photochemical reactions, this activation energy is supplied in the form of photons of light. So here we came to know about second criteria, I will tell you. But before that, students understand that reacting molecules in their ground state has energy that is called as normal energy. Normal energy may or may not be equal to threshold energy. So extra amount of energy has to be supplied to them, that is called as activation energy. So what is activation energy? Extra energy which is supplied to make normal energy equal to threshold energy. So this relation you understood here. Normal energy plus activation energy is equal to threshold energy. Now students, here see, if reacting molecules already have lots of energy, okay, then activation energy need not be provided. Okay. For example, if reacting molecules are already having more amount of energy, then normal energy is already equal to threshold energy, means they are having more amount of energy. Then we should supply very less amount of extra energy, means we are supplying less activation energy, and activation energy is inversely proportional to rate of reaction. So rate of reaction depends upon how much energy reacting molecules are already having. So for rate of reaction, first I have written that rate of reaction is directly proportional to collision frequency. How many collisions are taking place? More collisions, more rate of reaction. Secondly, I will write that rate of reaction depends upon fraction of molecules having kinetic energy equal to or greater than activation energy. How much more energy that reacting molecules are having, that much is good. Because if they are having more energy, then less should be supplied to them. Activation energy less means rate of reaction more. So here I will add one more thing. Rate of reaction is again directly proportional to e raised to minus Ea by RT. Students, you know this parameter very well. In Arrhenius equation we have seen this in detail. So what is Z here? Collision frequency, and e raised to minus Ea by RT is nothing but number of reacting molecules or fraction of reacting molecules having kinetic energy equal to or greater than activation energy. Okay. Now let us see, students, second criteria for effective collisions. Already we have seen that yes, now reacting molecules are colliding on each other. Once they collide, they are going to form the products. First condition is they must have minimum amount of energy called as threshold energy, that if it is not there, we will supply extra amount of energy, but we will make their normal energy equal to threshold energy. First criteria over. Second criteria is, okay, all reacting molecules are now having sufficient kinetic energy equal to threshold energy, they are effectively colliding. Secondly, one more thing you should understand, that they must be oriented in proper direction. Proper orientation is very important. They are having threshold energy, okay, but along with threshold energy, collisions must be oriented properly. Proper orientation is our second criteria for effective collisions. Reacting molecules must have proper orientation. Okay. So if both conditions are fulfilled, then only reacting molecules will react properly, collisions will be effective, fruitful, and that collisions will give rise to products, that is reaction will take place. So I hope, students, you understood everything about effective collisions. So definition of effective collisions is also very important. What do you mean by effective collisions? The collisions in which reacting molecules are colliding on each other with enough threshold energy, in proper orientation, so as to break pre-existing bonds and form new bonds to give rise to products. Such collisions are called as effective collisions. Effective collisions always takes place after fulfilling these two conditions. Okay. So reactants must have threshold energy and their orientation should be proper. Now students, you will feel that what is exactly proper orientation. Okay. So let us understand the concept of proper orientation by taking an example. So here I will take an example of formation of methanol from bromomethane. Formation of methanol from bromomethane. So imagine that here it is bromomethane plus OH minus. OH minus is reacting with bromomethane. In bromomethane, students, you know that Br is halogen, more electronegative. That's why Br will get delta minus charge. And this carbon will get delta plus charge. This thing you know very well. Electronegativity of halogens is much more. So it will pull electron pair towards itself and it will get partial negative charge, carbon will get partial positive charge. So these charges got developed. Now OH minus attacks on this bromomethane. Actually OH minus, so it attacks on C plus. Opposite charges attract each other. OH minus attacks on C plus, but here is Br minus. OH minus attacks from this side, front side, but here is present negatively charged Br. That's why same charges repel each other. Okay, so repulsion takes place, and this type of orientation is called as improper orientation. And result of this is no products. Why products are not forming? Because orientation is not proper. Orientation is not proper because repulsion is taking place. Okay, so OH minus cannot attack on positively charged carbon. Now what is proper orientation? See, now same I am taking bromomethane once again. See here again Br is delta negative, carbon is delta plus, but now this OH minus will attack from back side. See here students, OH minus attacks from back side. From back side it can directly attack on positively charged carbon. Here repulsion will not take place because negatively charged Br minus is on front side. So proper orientation is here in this reaction case, attack should be from back side. So it attacks from back side, and this is called as, see here, it is called as proper orientation. And due to this proper orientation, now this OH minus starts forming bond with positively charged carbon, and this bond with Br minus is breaking. See here now, OH minus attacks, this is proper orientation, so new bonds are forming, previous bonds are breaking. I have shown here formation of bond and as well as here breaking of bond. This is called as proper orientation, and finally this gives rise to this bond forms. So see here OH, CH, this is formed, methanol is formed and Br minus. So products are formed. This is called as proper orientation. So student, here in this equation we'll add one more factor. Rate of reaction, previously we wrote that it is directly proportional to collision frequency. Then we wrote that it is directly proportional to fraction of molecules having kinetic energy equal to or greater than activation energy. Now we'll add one factor, that is proper orientation. Proper orientation is shown by symbol P. Okay, so what is P here? Z means what, students? Already I have written here. Z is nothing but collision frequency. What is e raised to minus Ea by RT? We have written in Arrhenius equation. What is P? Then here P means probability or steric factor. It is probability factor or steric factor, and it is related to proper orientation. And for proper orientation, this P. Okay, so equation is completed now. Rate of reaction equation, remember properly. Proper orientation you came to know. What are effective collisions you understood. What is normal energy, what is activation energy, what is threshold energy you came to know. Okay, so this was all about collision theory, and in collision theory some important definitions are there. Let us write that important definitions. Yes students, so let us conclude collision theory. Okay, important definitions will be asked. Complete collision theory rarely asked, so you have to explain all this collision theory. If collision theory is asked, you have to write effective collisions means what. Then you have to write criteria, whatever I have written here. 2 criteria for effective collisions. What is equation of rate of reaction, and let us see one by one definitions, okay, separately. What is collision frequency is the most important question. Frequency means number. So what is collision frequency? The number of collisions taking place per second per unit volume of reaction mixture is called as collision frequency. Most important question for 1 mark. Next, what is normal energy of reacting molecules? The energy possessed by reacting molecules in their ground state. Okay. So whatever ground state they are possessing energy by its nature by at STP is called as normal energy. What is threshold energy? Okay. Threshold energy means for effective collision how much energy is required, that is called as threshold energy. Definition is minimum amount of energy reacting species must possess to form the products or for effective collisions. Minimum that much amount of energy should be there, that is called as threshold energy. Next, what is activation energy? Now see, activation energy is not required in all cases. If already their normal energy is equal to threshold energy, we should not supply extra amount of energy. Okay, but if the normal energy is less than threshold energy, then extra amount of energy should be supplied, that is called as activation energy. Activation energy is the extra amount of energy that has to be supplied to the reacting species to make their energy equal to threshold energy. Okay, and that's why equation becomes normal energy plus activation energy is equal to threshold energy. What are effective collisions? Okay, already you know effective collisions. In this definition of effective collisions, you must add both the conditions what are required for effective collisions. So definition becomes like this: the collisions in which the molecules collide with sufficient kinetic energy called as threshold energy, first condition, and proper orientation so as to facilitate breaking of bonds between reacting species and formation of new bonds to give the products. This type of collisions are called as effective collisions, fruitful collisions. So this was all about collision theory, and students, here our chemical kinetics lesson is over. Okay, so do well. Next unit test is coming. Details, do study of chemical kinetics, repeatedly see the videos, and all the best for you.